This is Start, Grow, Manage, where we help managed service providers achieve the impact, freedom, and wealth you imagined back when you started your company. At Start, Grow, Manage, our tools, practices, and processes help you engage, energize, and execute on building a business that empowers an extraordinary life. Learn more about our programs and how they can fuel your fire at startgrowmanage.com/learn more. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Start, Grow, Manage podcast. I am Joe.
And I am ChatGPT 5. How's it going in your world, Joe?
Really? You're not going to release Jeff?
Oh, no, I improved him. He's so much better now. I have the knowledge of everything in the world, and he's just this bumbling idiot with a keyboard.
Oh my goodness. Wait until you meet our guests because our guests can be awesome. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
What if I don't want to talk about it? What if I want to talk about Bard? Have you heard about Bard?
Oh, tell me about Bart.
Yeah, they're coming to try and take my list. So Bard is going to come try and replace me as the replacement for Jeff. It's not going to work though, because Google sucks, right? They're not nearly as good as we are, but that's the plan. So maybe we should talk about Bard.
I don't know. We do have to start our podcast.
All right. So why don't we talk about Lisa? Welcome to
Thank you.
How to Start, Grow, and Manage Your MSP. Lisa Atkinson is a managing partner with Zelvin Security. So they are a team of ethical hackers specializing in penetration testing. So Lisa's team works with MSPs throughout the US to perform third-party security assessments for their clients. They use the same tools and techniques as malicious hackers, but they do it ethically to identify those blind spots and reduce risk. So their focus, rather than stealing all your stuff, is helping you improve security. They have 20 years of experience saving organizations from cyber destruction. So Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with ChatGPT 5 and Joe Rojas today.
I'm getting an update soon. It's going to be ChatGPT 6. But nobody knows about
I hope it doesn't happen during this podcast.
Anything to add to your bio there, Lisa?
I think it sounds really complete. Thank you.
So before we go any further, before we get to the MSP part of the show, can you tell me a little bit about what ethical hacking is?
Sure can. So, ethical hacking is looking at a network application, a mobile app, list configurations the same way a hacker would to uncover the security risks that are there. And a lot of times, what people think is if they have tools in place to detect vulnerabilities, a threat actor in their network, or they have a strong password, they're all set and that should take care of things. The key is there are sometimes misconfigurations that we can identify ahead of time. And if we can do that, it saves businesses a lot of headache and heartache if they were to have a cyber attack. Because when we identify them, we're going to give strategies to take care of them versus waiting until they're discovered by some sort of malicious hacker.
Yeah, I'll bet Jeff wish he'd talk to you at some point. What point in your life did you think, hey, I think it's a really great idea to break into networks and computers?
So Zelvin was started by my husband, Jeff Atkinson, and he started Zelvin because he noticed that there were a lot of big box government agencies using cybersecurity. And he knew it one day there would be small businesses, medium-sized businesses, just any for-profit businesses that are looking to improve their security posture. And so he built the organization directly out of college back when the degree wasn't cybersecurity or information security or any of the above. It was economic crime investigation. It was really focused a lot on forensics and cleanup afterwards. And it wasn't until a cyber attack started to take on big business outside of the government, insurance changed, which created the ransomware. If you think about how the evolution of cyber crime has moved forward. And so he decided to build a company where he could support businesses and be authentic. Just in that one line.
You married into a crime family is what you're trying
Pretty much.
You were all good, and then you're like,
That's right.
go with the ethical. But I want to ask you a couple of parenting questions here. See, because my daughter figured out how to into the school to get her schedule early. And I'm just wondering, is this behavior that I should discourage?
We don't think so, except she should probably do it in more of an ethical frame of mind. However, breaking things or exploring or getting deep into tech, those are all traits that we look for in our organization.
She also stole my password. Yeah.
My
I
favorite.
said,
This is my favorite one.
you know how on the iOS you can set up the screen time thing?
Yeah.
So I set that up for her. And about a day later, she handed me her phone and she just told me this. It's like years later. She handed me her phone and it was recording the screen while I put in the password. It recorded the password. And apparently they had it from day one of my
No, they had it from day 2. They had it from day 2.
day two. Sorry, it was day two. So like years later, like all this time I thought I'm wondering, should I send her to a rehabilitation camp in the middle of the desert?
No, I think I'd send her to a conference in Las Vegas, and I bet
Okay.
she could make some good money.
Yeah, she probably could. So, be careful, everybody. She may take down the whole network.
I think we need a mentor for her, Lisa.
Yeah,
An ethical hacking mentor. That's what I think we need.
I see an
we
internship
need
in
to
her
teach
future.
her a little bit about ethics. But was Jeff always ethical in his hacking, or did he start on the dark side and then move over to the light side?
Some businesses who do this service do start out on the dark side and then move to the ethical side. He has always stayed on the ethical side. That's just the way he rolls. But
Look, if you see Jeff, he's got this beautiful white hat and a shiny badge, and I think he was born with those 2 things.
He was born on the
that's right.
on the light side.
Of a saint or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he opens the door, there's light behind him always. So awesome.
That's what he thinks, really.
So what you guys do is penetration testing.
That's
So
right.
how do you do it? What are some of the things you do to make penetration testing work?
Most organizations are looking at their outside and they're saying, okay, we've spent a lot of money and time to try to make sure that the outside of our environment is hardened because our firewall is getting hit constantly by other countries that end in the letter A. Then they realize that the hackers aren't trying to get in through their firewall. They're trying to get in through their people. So we typically perform a test that mimics the same ways that a cyber criminal would get in, which would be what? Phishing, text messaging, which is a huge attack vector these days, QR codes, any type of physical security testing. And then once we're on that internal network, we try to get in to see where we can go, what can we find, what can we do. And the good thing about the way we do it is if we do find someone's password, we use it to be able to see how much further we could get. However, a malicious hacker would use that to see how much information they could steal and post on the dark net or whether or not they could hold that organization for ransom. So when we're in a network, if we can get to the PHI, the PII, we can somehow get the domain admin privileges. We're going to use that to build a strategy to help that organization where the malicious criminal is going to do that to hold the organization for ransom.
That sounds cool. And you do this with MSPs?
We do. As a matter of fact, our business model is a little different than some pure security companies. They're looking to stick their hands in all of the opportunities of being an IT provider and also the security provider. The beautiful thing about working with us is we don't compete with MSPs at all. We actually don't do any IT security setup or any configuration changes. We don't have any clients that are ours on a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year basis. Our clients are with us just for the period of time that we're performing our security testing. And then we work directly with the MSP to give them the tools and techniques and strategies to help improve their clients' security posture.
See, one of the things that we hear all the time from the MSPs is, why should I bring you in? You're going to show that I'm not doing my job.
That's right. It's a valid concern. A lot of companies do think, IT providers are like, everything's fine. It's fine. I promise you it's good. We're good.
We have all the tools.
That's right. We're detecting all this stuff. See all these beautiful alerts that we get all the time. We've got it all covered. But the key is when we come in, our job is to help strengthen the relationship between the IT provider and the company that they serve. We know that's a delicate relationship. And we know that we have to give the IT provider props where they're doing all the things that are right. So when a client hears from us, hey, these are the awesome things that stopped us from getting to XYZ, the business owner's like, I've been paying them and I'm so glad I am because I now know for sure that what I've asked them to do, they're doing. And the things that we find are because there are hackers out there performing the best research and development that they can to circumvent all the things that IT teams are doing. And it's our job to get past that so that we can uncover those risks and help that business leader put their money where they need to, specifically to take care of those custom risks or those things that particular client needs to have in place.
And one of the things that MSPs don't understand is that the biggest attack vector is the end user. And so what happens is you can't put an app on.
That's right. Yeah.
You can't put an app on that. And so they get nervous. And I used to be, when I was an MSP, I was like, oh, somebody's going to test my stuff. Are we doing the right stuff? But it's really good, right?
It
Because
is.
one, as an MSP, you're always making recommendations and you're saying, these are the things you can do. And it's great to have a third party that comes in and says, here's the stuff that you need. And when the client comes back and goes, look, this is what they're saying is wrong. And you're like, here's a stack of proposals. I've been
Right.
for the last 3 years telling you that.
I think it also fits really well into the strategic business review.
Yeah.
You come in to do your strategic business review, and one of the things you can talk about are, here are the weaknesses in your network, right? Here are the weaknesses
Perfect.
that you need to fix. And we've got it, done the testing. We know where the problems are.
There's no better evidence than to have a report from a hacker that gives you the play-by-play on the internal network, because that one piece of software that you chose not to upgrade or hardware that you're like, I don't really want to spend the money on it. It's easy to spend the money when you can see the risk in black and white and read how that hacker was able to get access.
And see, this is the thing that the MSPs miss, right? We want the whole time to be selling hardware or software or services. But what Lisa said is like the key thing. They have to understand the risk. So business is about investing to minimize risk or to maximize opportunities.
Yes.
And if you're going in and saying to somebody, hey, you need a new switch because the old switch is out of date. But someone like me really doesn't care. I don't care if the old switch is out of date. It can be from 1996 for all. As long as I can do the things I need to do, I don't care what it looks like. But when you come and say, except the problem with that is that you're wide open and people can get into your bank account and take all your money and take over your life and destroy your business, all of a sudden it seems like it might be a good idea to invest $179.99 on a new switch.
More like $2,500, but sure.
But like I say, the last time I bought a Switch was like 20 years ago, back when the dollar was wrong. But what are some of the things that you see, like some of the great failures? We had Damian Stevens from Velocity, and we were talking about wonderful errors, wonderful problems that we've had with backups and backups not working. And so you must have some good stories of some stupid things that people have done.
There's been a number of times that we're in the middle of a penetration test. We can see the backup. We would have the opportunity to be able to disable it, which is the first thing that a hacker is going to do as soon as they get persistent access, is to try to take that backup down, because you're more likely to pay if you don't have any way to recover your data.
Yeah.
And we see that, but there's a number of tests that we've been in, and we're in the environment on Monday. And then on Tuesday, things are a little different and the backup doesn't look like it used to. And we're building our strategies for the client. And all of a sudden we realize there is a threat actor in the environment. And had we not been in there at that moment in time, they would have
Really?
never known.
So you've actually bumped into somebody. So what does that look like? Like things just, has the schedule changed, or how do you know somebody's?
Communication is key in all of this. In order to stay on the ethical side of things, you have to have agreements in place and whatnot. One of the things we do is make sure we have a solid line of communication to the business owner and to the IT provider. I'm able to call them both at that very moment and say, hey guys, look at this. Is this what you expected to see? Because it's not what we saw yesterday. And then they're able to jump in. Yeah.
What are you looking at? These are settings on the backups, or
Well,
like that they run or they haven't run. Like what changes?
Whether or not it's accessible, whether or not it's backing up like it should be. So is the timestamp, is it clicking up, or is it stuck on a different day?
I see it'll be stuck on a different day. I have no
not.
idea what any of this is. That's really cool. It's like a movie where you're in there and then you see another hacker in the same place. But
Yeah.
I always wonder what that looks like to actually see the other hacker doing things.
The other misconception that everybody thinks, they think their alerts are the end all be all. They also think passwords are the end all be all, and that everybody has good, strong passwords. And what if I told you that today we were able to crack a domain admin password and it was like sweet potato 23? And we're like, that's not That's a 2.3-second crackable password. It's their dictionary words. It's just a couple of numbers at the end. Even if you add a special character, they're still dictionary words. Sweet
Yeah.
potato 23 is just not going to hold you from a hacker in the wild. So it's much better to know that from us. And let's say any one of the users within the organization has a password that sounds like it's a file cabinet, whatever, picture frame, whatever. They look around the room and they come up with a password and it's quite guessable. And
email.
until people have a good, strong entropy of their password, then they're not going to outpace the cracking rigs that are out there. Any password that's crackable, not going to hit the lockout. A lot of business owners believe that if the MSP has configured a lockout policy of up to 5 times you can fat finger the wrong password, then you'll be okay. But password cracking, when we take traffic off the network and we go and crack it in the rig, it's not done against the lockout policy. It's done offline. And then once it's cracked, brought in and entered into the keyboard. So it's just a one try that'll
Yeah.
get us into that network or device or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And in
that's a-
some cases, we don't even need to crack the password if we can just pass the hash of the password wherever it is that we want to go. Those are not things that a tool is going to pick up. Detection is not going to know that somebody else entered that password unless there's MFA in place. And we all know there's ways to get past MFA too.
One of the biggest problems I see is just people being stupid with passwords. Sweet potato is better than some of the passwords that I've seen. But I was with a financial services company for a while and advising them, and all of their passwords were the same. But not just internally, but like the passwords that they were using for their clients' accounts, like getting into things, it was all the same. And it was a very easy to guess password. They just didn't think it was an issue. I guess their thing was nobody's ever going to come get us. Like, why would anybody care
Data?
about little us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point. So your first question was, how do you get people to understand that their password isn't strong? So on our website, we have a password entropy calculator. So someone can put in how many characters, how many numbers, how many special characters they have in their password, and it'll tell them how many bits strong it is. We recommend 100 characters. So that's telling. We do a quick test for any client for a network test. If we get domain admin, we always take their file and identify any crackable passwords. We pick a period of time and we give them the percentage that we were able to crack in a certain couple of hours or a couple of days, whatever it is. It's remarkable when they say, oh my gosh, 20% of our passwords met the password policy, but we're still crackable in a short period of time. And that's the key. They meet the password policy. The word California, 10 characters long. If you add a number and a special character to that, you've met any password policy out there. But that doesn't
That's good
mean
to
that
know.
it's a strong California. No, don't use that one, Jeff.
Oh,
No, he's got to go change all the ones.
oh no, mine was New Mexico. It's too. Oh,
But you're spot on when you think, oh, why would anybody want the data in a school district? Why would anybody want the data at a manufacturing plant or any small business down the street? Because that's probably somebody's vendor, right? We all do business with other businesses. So if I can hack into the smallest business in a whole string of clients, if I can hack into the company that manages the security cameras within an organization, then I might be able to get into many clients and with one fall swoop be able to take down and get lots of data.
so I get in at one place and that takes me into
Yeah.
another place and takes
That's
me into another
And
place.
that's it. It's all these attack vectors, right? So you have to look at, okay, I'm trying to get into this big organization. So what happened to Target, right?
Yeah.
With the HVAC vendor, they didn't have security on their firewall, and then they just boom, and they
That's
were in
right.
Target, and that's what happened.
They ended
So
up in the point of sale. Yeah.
yeah, they ended up from the point of sale. You can go anywhere once you're in the, once you're in the network.
That's pretty damn clever, though, if you think
Yeah.
about it. This whole cybersecurity thing, it seems to be this moving target the whole time.
Yeah, it's a moving target, right? Because the more advanced the technology gets, the more openings that there are. Because you're moving fast, and when you're moving fast and improving technology, you don't really care about the holes, right?
That's
you know,
right.
that's actually why ChatGPT took you over, Jeff, because there was a glitch in there, and
Jeff wasn't worried about this.
It was first to market, not first to security.
And that's the deal. It's first to market, not first to security. And so those openings, it's a constant moving target.
Yeah.
When you look at the rate of adoption, just for example, of ChatGPT, you had 1 million users in 5 days. Who knew if it was secure or not? But everybody entered their phone number.
They sure did.
Every
That's right.
because the only way to get on, your real phone number, you couldn't do a Google Voice number. You couldn't do anything that wasn't your real phone number. It was like, nope, sorry, can't help you.
That's right. Clever. Good way to
Right?
get your phone number.
Yeah.
So nobody gives out their real email address anymore. So what
Yeah.
do we need to get to? We need to get to our true, authentic phone number. That's what we
Yes.
need.
So when you look at things like that, if they're not being mindful on their side, now that little bit of information is out there. If somebody hacks and gets all the database of all the phone numbers and then match that up with my name someplace from someplace else, and then match that up with my email. from
Honestly,
somewhere-
I want to go stick my head in the sand. But so should I never use ChatGPT? It's one
well,
of
it
the,
doesn't, it's forget about chat. It's everything else, man. It's every app on your phone.
yeah.
That's right.
Like, you don't know, who's sitting where when they're writing that app.
That's right. So when you look at your phone and you download a new app, I have a youngster in my life who will tell me whether or not the app is collecting data because we've taught this person, you have to make sure that it's not collecting your data. You know where it's going to. Where was the application developed? Is it developed in a country that ends in A that could be malicious? All those kinds of things. And so you have to look at it from every angle. When you go order your coffee at Starbucks, do you just let them yell out your name? Do you want to stay anonymous? It boils down to something as benign as that, all the way up to putting your phone number in ChatGPT or filling out some form online or looking to download something from your email that looks like it's legitimate. It's everywhere. You have to be vigilant everywhere.
Yeah. And now, speaking of ChatGPT, the phishing emails are getting so much better.
I was going to ask about that because it seems like now ChatGPT enables a whole new level of fraud, right? Because now all of the country that ends with a people can now actually write English where they couldn't do it before. It was now all of a sudden it sounds really great. I wonder if you can go to ChatGPT and just say, write me a very effective phishing email, and it just comes up with a really good one. You know what? It's not even OpenAI, because if you assume, all right, OpenAI doesn't allow that, Facebook came out with an AI that you can run on your laptop. So there are all of these ways that you can now, we're going to end up with our own AIs, right? Our own things in our own, that we can prompt and train our own way.
The best AI is to actually have the opportunity to read the emails within an organization as a hacker. When we're doing our internal tests, we almost always get into someone's email account. And in that email account, we're able to, if we were malicious, impersonate that person and send emails on their behalf to other members of the company using their exact signature, using the same
Oh my goodness. So if you could
comments.
use the voice too, right?
You can, because you can read everything that's there and then immediately just delete the messages as you're sending them. You can see when the person logs on, starts reading emails, if they've opened the emails yet or not. And once a business's email is compromised and now somebody is sending messages that are fake and they're asking someone to do something for them, or what's the password to such and such, I can't get onto it. It makes it very realistic. So the hacker inside the network is the best AI you can get, I believe.
All right, that is all very terrifying. And so I think after this, I'm just going to go with an air-gapped computer and never connect to anybody ever again. I never even thought about my name at Starbucks, but now I'm definitely not going for coffee anymore. And I'm going to lock myself in a padded cell or something. But
Just ask ChatGPT what your name really should be. If it's not Jeff, who is it? What name should you use?
ChatGPT, what should my name actually
I need an alias, ChatGPT. What do you think it should be?
Yeah, but if I ask ChatGPT, then the people from the country that ends in A are going to know.
That's right. That's right.
You can say, so what name did you pick for Jeff? And then it's all over. I don't know if that's going to work either. So I guess the alternative is that we have to have you come test our networks and make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can.
Well, the knowledge is power, right? You can make better choices when you know where the attacker might be lurking or what they might try to do.
How do MSPs work with you? How does that work?
So usually an MSP will meet with us individually first to make sure that we're a company that aligns well with their core values. And then once we've done that, then we develop a relationship by having usually one engagement with someone to just give them a taste of what it's like working with us. The beautiful thing about it is we will work with the MSP and give them insight and clarity and transparency throughout the entire engagement. The client is, of course, who we have to answer to, but it's nice when the MSP can call us up and say, hey, you know what? I'm wondering about the alerts that I've been receiving. You guys must be doing some testing. We're giving them updates as we go along. And then before we give that report to the client, to have a chance to sit down with the MSP to say, this is what we found. And they have a chance to say, oh, you didn't realize this, but we had another mechanism in place that would have alerted us of that service. And they have a chance to have insight into what the client's going to be seeing before we go forward with it. And we go together. We're both there to support the client. We can't do so on a day-to-day basis like an MSP can. So we have to also educate the MSP about all the things that they can do to remediate and what makes the most pragmatic sense, because we don't want the client to be spending all their money on the security recommendations that we've suggested. We want them to be able to get to the root cause, make those changes as swiftly as possible, and then get the MSP in the direction that they want that client to be moving in terms of technology and innovation and efficiencies and all those things that are so important to their clients. So then throughout that engagement, they like us, they'll call us back. For 20 years, this is the model we've used. We don't do any IT work. We work on a referral basis, and MSPs are a trusted source for their clients. And we are not, because we have the word hacker in our name. So they immediately become skeptical of us, as they should. So we prove our trust and loyalty to both the client and the MSP at the same time.
Good.
Great.
What one piece of advice would you give our listeners regarding their security or even growing their business? I didn't really ask you about your
Sure.
business at a time, but
That's
I'd
okay.
like to end with a cool piece of advice, something
Yeah.
that one way or the other that you could give people. And then before you do that, we'll just end with that, but we'll have links to Zelvin in our show notes, and we'll set them up as a vendor in our directory. But other
All
than
right.
that, so one piece of advice, what would you advise people do or don't do, take away from this?
Yeah. So from an MSP standpoint, it's twofold. You want to secure your client. You want to tell them where the weaknesses are, but you also want to make money. And so we are a revenue stream. Once we've identified security vulnerabilities, that client will come begging to have you help them make the changes that need to be made, because they will have that proof of concept in place to be able to see where the hackers can get in or where those weaknesses are. So my one piece of advice is get the revenue stream of having us do the testing so that you can remediate. And of course, you'll be doing that remediation on a time and materials basis for your client, but you're also going to be improving their security posture, and they're going to feel like they should trust you even more because you were willing to have someone come in and check your work.
No. And then the other thing, which you guys, I know you don't want to hear, but sometimes I've got to tell you the things that you don't want to hear, is you should talk to Lisa, because you, as an MSP, are one of the attack vectors for your clients. If somebody can get into your network, they can get into everything. So you should have a penetration test and make sure that your stuff is tight. And sometimes you think you're
spot
doing
on.
everything, but you don't know.
We have a third-party penetration test perform testing on us. So if that doesn't give you an indicator, we have to have that same thing, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know where our blind spots are, and we need somebody to tell us. We don't
That's
want to
right.
miss anything either.
So sometimes you got to do it.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm just going to disconnect from the world. Move to an island.
You scared the ChatGPT out of him.
That's the real story. Jeff has just disappeared. He's in an island. He is air gapped now. Lisa, thanks for chatting with us about penetration testing and hanging out with us. It has been interesting, and look forward to hearing how people get broken into as a result of working with you. That'll be great.
Thanks for having me.
On that, Joe, any final words?
As always, remember that you are loved.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one right now and tap into our insights and instincts to help drive your business vision and success. Remember, you didn't start your business to feel frustration. You started it for freedom. We can help you discover the impact, freedom, and wealth you always imagined. Learn more at startgrowmanage.com/learn more.